Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm Matt from Universal Audio, and today I'm going to show you some tips and tricks for using the AMS DMX digital delay and pitch shifter. This plugin is a faithful recreation of the classic DMX 1580S delay unit from AMS that helped define the sound of the 80s and beyond, along with its digital reverb companion, the RMX 16. With its combination of delay, pitch shifting, chorus, and modulation VCOs, the DMX has countless options for creating ambience and depth, from subtle stereo widening to extreme sound design uses. This is one of my personal favorites because it's a one-stop shop for so many great sounding and versatile stereo effects. The plugin gives you access to all the same features as the original hardware, including the ultra-rare chorus expansion module, plus modern plugin-only features like tempo sync, wet-dry mix, and additional stereo modulation options. Let's dive in and check out a few examples so you can hear just how cool this plugin is. The DMX is capable of a lot of different types of effects, but let's start with the traditional delay example to get comfortable with the basic controls. At first glance, this plugin can seem a little complex with all of its knobs, switches, and buttons, but I found that the best way to wrap your head around it is to load up a preset and play with the controls to learn what they're doing, which is exactly what we're going to do today. Once you get a feel for where everything is, the interface is actually pretty intuitive and it becomes a lot easier to dial in your own sounds. I have the plugin set up on a return bus and I've loaded Chuck's Wiki's Ultra Lush Delay Bed preset. The presets included with this plugin are incredible. There's presets from legendary producers and engineers like Chuck, Ross Hogarth, and Tony Platt, who have decades of experience using the original hardware on countless hit records. For this example, I'm going to disable the chorus and VCO so we can hear the delay section by itself with no pitch modulation. Listen to the depth and space that the delay adds to this simple piano line. Even just as a straightforward stereo delay, this plugin sounds amazing. Now let's take a closer look at how the preset is set up. On the left side, there are two switches that set the inputs and outputs to either stereo or summed. In this case, the input switch is set to summed, so the input signal is summed to mono and fed to both channels. The output switch is set to stereo, so each channel can be independently panned using the knobs below. The channels are panned hard left and hard right in this example, and when combined with different delay times on each side, that gives us a really nice stereo spread. If you want to change the delay times, you can click on one of the knobs to see the current value displayed on the screen, and then use the knob or nudge buttons to change the value. When tempo sync is turned on, you can also click on the screen to select a note division from the drop-down menu. Finally, you can set the feedback amount using the regen knobs. As you can see, these knobs are turned up pretty high on this preset, which is what gives us those long trailing delays that really fill out the sound and create a sense of dimension. That covers the delay section, so now let's add some pitch modulation back in by enabling the chorus section. On the original hardware, the chorus was a separate expansion module that was pretty hard to find, so it's really cool that the plugin includes this lesser known feature. The chorus essentially creates semi-random variations in pitch between each channel based on the speed and depth settings, which adds some interesting movement to the delay lines. Let's take a listen to the same piano example as before, and I'll enable the chorus section halfway through. You'll notice that the sound instantly gets wider and the pitch values displayed on the screen will start to jump around as the chorus changes the pitch of each channel. You can already start to hear how combining the delay section with the pitch modulation options opens up a whole other world of delay-based effects. And we've only scratched the surface of what this plugin can do. Next, let's take a look at possibly the most famous use of the DMX, vocal doubling. This classic effect can be heard on hit records from Prince, Phil Collins, and so many other artists over the past 40 plus years. And what better way to hear it in action than to check out another preset from Chuck's Wiki. For this example, I've loaded up Chuck's AMS Classic Vocal Spread preset on another return track and set my lead vocal to it. This preset expands on the standard vocal doubling technique of using very short delay times with no feedback, by using slightly different delay times for each channel, which creates a wider stereo image by introducing subtle differences in the left and right sides. In this case, the left channel has a very short delay time of 17 milliseconds, and the right channel has just a slightly longer delay time of 35 milliseconds. Let's reset the pitch shift section for now by clicking the LEDs next to each knob and hear what this sounds like with only the delay enabled.
Can anybody save me before the tide takes me? Can anybody pull me out? The water's getting higher now.
Just by using the delay section, we've already added some depth and width that really starts to make the vocal come alive. Now let's take this a step further by adding the pitch shift section back in to create even more variation between the left and right channels, which will give us an even wider and deeper effect on the vocal. I'll do this by pitch shifting the left channel down just a touch and shifting the right channel up by about the same amount, which will give us that classic DMX doubling effect. Take a listen.
Can anybody save me before the tide takes me? Can anybody pull me out? The water's getting higher now.
Even just adding a subtle amount of pitch shift makes pretty much everything sound bigger and better with the DMX. And you can dial in so many variations of this effect by using different delay times and pitch shift amounts. For this last example, let's take a closer look at the other modulation options on the DMX, particularly the chorus and the VCO. I've got another instance loaded as an insert effect on this synth pad, and I've opened up Paul David Hager's Lush Chorus preset. This preset uses very little delay and relies mostly on the chorus section to create a unique take on the classic chorus effect. Since the chorus uses the pitch shift section to create its variations in pitch, the manual pitch shift controls are disabled when it's turned on. And just like earlier, you'll see the pitch values displayed on the screen start to jump around, with the length of each step controlled by the speed knob and the amount of variation controlled by the depth knob. Let's hear what that sounds like. I love the shimmery movement that these slight variations in pitch add, and since the left and right channels are being modulated separately, it also adds a sense of width and depth to the movement. Let's disable the chorus section now and check out the DMX's other modulation source, the VCO. Similar to the chorus section, the VCO also modulates the pitch of each channel, but in a smoother, continuous motion, rather than in steps like the chorus section does, which makes it better suited for wobbly, vibrato type effects. But that's not all it can do. Let's first enable the VCO by flipping the switch to the down position, and then use the speed and depth controls to dial in some vibrato. Just like on the original hardware, the VCO only affects the sound when the delay time is 2 milliseconds or higher. So if the VCO is enabled but you don't hear any modulation happening, be sure to check your delay times. Alright, let's take a listen to the DMX's take on a classic vibrato effect. Now you've probably noticed that there's a VCO 2 option as well. This is a plugin only feature that offsets the phase of the left and right VCO channels to create a wider stereo image, again by introducing subtle variations in the pitch of the left and right channels. Let's flip the switch to VCO 2 and hear what this vibrato example sounds like with the same settings. Just by enabling VCO 2, we've turned this simple vibrato effect into a lush, wide, almost chorus type effect. And I can take it even further from here by experimenting with different delay times and pitch shift amounts for each channel. That's one of the coolest things about the DMX. With all these different features that can be mixed and matched in different ways, it really lends itself well to experimentation. And there are endless possibilities for how it can be used to add depth and dimension to your tracks. Load up a preset, start twisting knobs, and see what you can come up with. And when you find some settings that you like, be sure to save them as a custom preset using the folder icon in the bottom left corner of the plugin window. With all of these great sounding delay, pitch shifting, and modulation effects in one box, it's no wonder the AMS DMX has been used by so many artists, producers, and engineers over the years. And its timeless sound works just as well today as when it was first released. When used subtly, it's hard to find something that it doesn't sound good on, and it's versatile enough that you can really push it to extremes to get ambient and otherworldly sounds that couldn't be made any other way. UAD and Apollo owners can demo this plugin today for free for 14 days. And be sure to check out the included presets for inspiration. There's so many good effects in there, from the classic effects that the DMX is known for, to more experimental sounds that show how far it can be pushed. Head over to uaudio.com for more info, and make sure to subscribe to the Universal Audio YouTube channel for more tips and tricks. I'll see you next time.